Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, July 31st, 2019.
Commissioner Garcia, James, and Caloza are present. President James, you do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau Street Lighting.
Good morning, Sandy Turan, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Morning, Nick Lopez, Street Services.
Good morning, Mike Mullen, Bureau of Sanitation. Good morning, Patrick Schmidt, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Seffi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we received one speaker card under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We received a speaker card on item number 8 and 14. In addition to that, we did receive one email that will be distributed to all commissioners in the next few minutes regarding item number 14.
Okay, and we also seem to be missing a city attorney representative right now.
No city attorney representative, and then also, just for the record, Commissioner Davis just joined, and I will add him to the quorum as well.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take general public comment. Did you say you had a general public comment card?
I do, just one.
Okay, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope everybody's well. For the record, Arnold Sachs. A couple of different things. I was here on Monday, and I mentioned there was a meeting about a park at Broadway and First. I went to the meeting. Fascinating thing. My concerns are that I don't think the park belongs where it's planned. I actually think it belongs at the Civic Center. It's fascinating, the slides they put on. The Civic Center is actually located where Parker Center was, and this is a park that should belong there. It's totally not in, I don't know, keeping with the rest of the Grand Park area. It's a nice looking park, and there's some nice facilities and everything, but Grand Park itself is an open area, and this is just a small area with trees, and it doesn't fit in with the actual location. It's much more suited for the Civic Center area that's prescribed by the city's, I guess, detailed maps, because they pointed out in one of the slides that the Civic Center area is the area located around Parker Center, much more conducive to that location. And then yesterday at the Board of Supervisors and last night there was some discussion about health care, big item. The real problem with the health care for everyone is the re-enrollment. You can sign up a lot of people, but if you don't have the opportunity or the wherewithal to re-enroll them, then essentially you're just giving away free government money. And you might as well enroll people who are dead, because nobody has the opportunity to check who they are, and nobody bothers to go through that paperwork. You're just giving out money for names. When they decide, like in California, California is like the 8th largest.
2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. No other cards on general public comment. We'll close general public comment. We have one administrative item. Agenda item number 16, specifications. Actually, I've got one of them. Specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is in Council District 13 for the Silver Lake Boulevard Underpass Sidewalk and Arches Project. Estimate $632,264. Bid receipt date on September 11, 2019. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 16 forthwith by Commissioners Garcia, Caloza, and Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Dr. Campos, agenda item number 2, we have bids this morning for 2 public works projects related to street lighting. So why don't we go ahead and do our bids on agenda item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. We will open up two projects for today. The first project is for the street lighting conduit only project Unit 7 high voltage conversion for fiscal year 2018-2019. This is in Council Districts number 4, 5, and 11. The city has estimated this project to be at $2,505,937 even. The second project that we will open up bids for is for the street lighting conduit only project Unit 6 high voltage conversion fiscal year 2018-2019. This is in Council District number 2 and 5, and the city has estimated the second project to be at $2,340,950 even. We will now begin to open up the bids for the first project. Again, this is for the street lighting conduit project Unit 7 in Council Districts 4, 5, and 11. We did receive 4 bids. The first bid for the first project is from KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dynalectric, for a total bid amount of $2,734,860 even. That's $2,734,860 from KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dynalectric. The second bid received for the first project is from Crosstown Electrical and Data Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $3,956,505 even. That's $3,956,505 from Crosstown Electrical and Data Incorporated. The third bid is from My Electrician Incorporated. That's MY Electrician Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $3,144,578 even. That's $3,144,578 from My Electrician Incorporated. The fourth and final bid for the first project is from Elecnor Belco Electric Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $3,404,439 even. That number is 3404439 from Elecnor Belco Electric Incorporated. For the record, line item number 7 has been lined out by the contractor and it has been initialed. Mr. President, that concludes the bid openings for the first project. We will now begin to open up bids for the second project. Again, the second project is for the street lighting conduit only project Unit 6 in Council Districts 2 and 5. We did receive 4 bids for the second project as well. The first bid for the second project is from KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dynalectric, for a total bid amount of $2,373,121 even. That's $2,373,121 from KDC, doing business as Dynalectric. The second bid for the second project is from Elecnor Belco Electric Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $2,810,213 even. That's $2,810,213 from Elecnor Belco Electric Incorporated. The third bid is from My Electrician Incorporated. That's MY Electrician Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $2,684,364 even. That's $2,684,368 from My Electrician Incorporated. The fourth and final bid received for the second project is from Crosstown Electrical and Data Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $3,761,425 even. That's $3,761,425 from Crosstown Electrical and Data Incorporated. Mr. President, that concludes the bid openings for the second project and all bids for today's agenda as well.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Is there a second to my motion for an order that the bids have been received, opened, and declared forthwith? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on agenda item number 2. Agenda item number 8 is an above-ground facility variance in Council District 14 at 406 South Breed Street. There has been a request from the council office that we continue the item for a period of 4 weeks to give the council office time to work with the community to acquire this. On this item, what I would do, I'm hearing from a rep that 4 weeks is too much time. One of the things that we always typically do, Ms. Nichols, I don't have you, can I grab you on, are you here on number 8? Okay. I'm sorry, I couldn't read the 8 on here. Could you come forward for just a minute? The council office asked for 4 weeks. I've got an indication, at least preliminarily from you, that that might be too much time.
Well, there's two.
Let me, before you start, let me finish. And one of the things that we always do here at the Board of Public Works for the entire now 6 years today that I've been here is if we always will grant one continuance. What I'm willing to do is cut that in half to talk to the council office at 2 weeks, even though I had told them 4 weeks, but granted, we had not run that by you. So go ahead.
Oh, well, there are two things that
Yeah.
I sort of am having objections to. One is that this, I've extended the shot clock on this twice.
Okay, has it been to the Board of Public Works for a continuance?
No, it hasn't. It just
Okay.
has taken this long to become to the board.
Okay.
And secondly, we have met with CD14 several times. They asked us to present to Bull Heights Neighborhood Council, which we did. We gave them an overview of our project, which they wanted us to do in lieu of doing individual sites. At the time, we had 11 new poles in Bull Heights. We found co-location opportunities for all but this one. So I feel like we've worked with council and the neighborhood, CD14 and the neighborhood council plenty.
A lot, okay.
Yeah.
Was there only one neighborhood council that was requested for you to meet with on this item?
Yes, this is Bull Heights,
Okay.
the neighborhood council.
I still, I've got a council office asking, we always grant one continuance.
Right.
What I will do, given your objection, is cut the continuance in half to 2 weeks, and we'll let the council know that we had an objection from the applicant, thus the 2-week continuance. And the statement that you made about working with Boyle Heights, and we'll take it from there at 2 weeks from today instead.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you. Thank you for that. So that'll be the order on agenda item number 8. And Dr. Campos, you will remind me after this meeting to communicate with the council office, since I had the initial communication with them yesterday.
Sure, I will.
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 3 through 7 are assessment hearings, council districts 1, 3, 5, 12, 14. Mr. Quigley from Street Lighting.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, Bureau Executives. James Quigley, representing the Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 3 and 7 pertain to lighting districts which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Items 4 and 6 pertain to lighting districts that we are creating in conjunction with the Bureau of Street Lighting initiated LED conversion projects. Only public parcels are impacted with these, and no private parcels will be included in these lighting districts. The ballots for 3, 4, 6, and 7 were mailed on June 19th, 2019. The ballots for these 4 items must be received by the City Clerk's office by Tuesday, August 6th, for the council hearing. We have not received any objections to date on any of these items. We are requesting that the board adopt and forward items 3, 4, 6, and 7 forthwith to City Council. And as noted, item 5 is being continued.
So that's regarding items 3, 4, 6, and 7. Any questions on 3, 4, 6, and 7? Commissioner Garcia has made a motion on 3, 4, 6, and 7. Without objection, we'll adopt agenda items 3, 4, 6, and 7, and recognizing that agenda item number 5 is going to be continued to, it says Wednesday, October 9th, 2019, as you confirmed?
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. Then that'll be the order on 3 through 7.
Great, Mr. President, I do need a second on that motion.
Oh, that would
so-
be me, I'm sorry.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Any objection? Without objection on 3, 4, 6, and 7, with 5 being continued to October 9th, 2019. Thank you, sir. Agenda item
And that's
number
forthwith.
9.
That's also forthwith, Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 9 is, since number 8 was continued, Council District 12 Contract Amendment, West Valley Alliance, graffiti and weed abatement services for this fiscal year 2019-2020, recommending that the board first authorize the Office of Community Beautification to execute a contract amendment with the West Valley Alliance in the amount of $55,000, subject to appropriation and transfer of funds, to provide funding for supplemental graffiti and weed abatement services in Council District 12. And secondly, authorize myself or two members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract amendment after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney. Mr. Roch on number 9. Mr. Roch, but before Mr. Roch, Mr. Sachs on number 9. Mr. Sachs on number 9. Mr. Roch on number 9. Mr. Sachs has left the room.
Okay. Good
Sure, he'll be
morning.
back.
Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. OCB contracts with nonprofit community-based organizations for various services, including graffiti removal, litter and weed abatement, and other as-funded, as-needed services. The Office of Councilmember Greg Smith has indicated that there is a need in his district for enhanced graffiti removal, alley cleanup, litter abatement, and weed abatement. Therefore, Council District 12 has transferred $55,000 to the Board of Public Works Contractual Services account from the CD12 portion of the Street Furniture Revenue Fund. These funds are now, with approval from the board this morning, going to be placed into the contract with West Valley Alliance, which is the nonprofit community-based organization that services all of Council District 12. So once again, we request board approval to amend an existing contract with West Valley Alliance in order to provide these services.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roch. Understood. Nothing unusual. We get these requests from council offices on occasion.
Pretty much at the beginning of every fiscal year and the
There
end
you
of
go.
every fiscal year.
No questions here. I'll make a motion on agenda item number 9, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Therefore, any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 9 forthwith? We will send number 9 forthwith. Agenda item number 10, contract amendment, Los Angeles Conservation Corps, Community Beautification Services for fiscal year 1920. Recommending that the board first authorize OCB, but before we do that, Dr. Campos, let's go ahead and go back to number 1. Let's go ahead and take number 1 since all 5 are here. Fiscal year 2019-2020 annual election of officers. Dr. Campos, do you do it from there or here?
I will come over to your desk.
Okay.
Or your chair.
All right. I could have gotten that chair myself. Go ahead.
Sorry, everyone. It just took a little few minutes just to set up the stage. Typically, we do these at the beginning of the meeting, but today we are just rearranging the schedule just a little bit. It's the only time that I come up to the chair seat, if you will, to conduct the elections of officers for fiscal year 2019-2020, as required by the city charter and pursuant to the board rules of the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works. Chapter 6, Election and Appointment of Officers, Board Rule number 29 and also Board Rule number 30, the board shall elect one of its members as president and vice president, respectively, by a majority vote by open ballot. Commissioners, are there any nominations for the position of president?
Mr. Chairman,
I'd like to nominate Commissioner James for president of the board.
I'll second that nomination.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. I have a motion to nominate President, I'm sorry, I have a motion to nominate Commissioner James for the President of the Board of Public Works for fiscal year 1920. That was a motion by Commissioner Cabello and seconded by Commissioner Davis and also Garcia. Is there any objections to the nomination? Hearing no objections, the motion is passed, and congratulations to the new president, President James of the Board of Public Works. Now that we've established the president of the Board of Public Works for fiscal year 1920, are there any nominations for the position of vice president of the Board of Public Works?
Yes, Commissioner Cabello.
Great. I'm hearing a motion from the newly re-elected President James and also a second by Commissioner Davis and also Commissioner Garcia. Is there any objections to the nomination for Vice President of the Board of Public Works? Hearing no objections, the motion is passed, and congratulations to re-elected Vice President Cabello as the Vice President of the Board of Public Works. Now I will turn this meeting back over. Yes. Applause. Now I will turn over the meeting back to the chair, the newly re-elected President of the Board of Public Works. And Mr. President, the first order of business as the President of the Board of Public Works is to appoint and nominate one commissioner as President Pro Tem, and that will be your first order of business. After that, then you can continue the normal order of business that you have before you on the agenda. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I am delighted to say that for the 7th time in the term, I get to make the appointment of the President Pro Tem, and I will make the appointment for the 3rd time, or 4th time, I've lost count, to be Dr. Commissioner Mike Davis. So thank you, sir. And let me just say before we move on, just a couple of things regarding the election process that we have. I have said it over and over again, and I will continue to say it, that this job has been the highlight of what I've been very fortunate to have as a very diverse career in the 30-plus years that I've been in the working world. There's nothing like public service, and there's nothing like having the opportunity to serve this mayor and this administration with all of you. The work that we do at the Department of Public Works as the premier service, customer service, constituent service department in the city is amazing. I know that you all agree with that already, but I do think when we elect officers, it's worthy of saying. And just a couple of things. Commissioner Cabello, your time as in this building in various roles, senior management roles, legislative roles, liaison roles, kind of everything that's happened in your that you've had in your very illustrious career here, including time on the city council floor, is very valuable to us on the Board of Public Works. So I thought it important to nominate you again for vice president, and besides the fact that I just love working with you. Commissioner Davis, to you, my friend, it's always a great time working with you and your passion for inclusion and for diversity and for contracting and the opportunities it provides our communities. Sir, I'm delighted again to appoint you to the position of President Pro Tem, and the officership of this board. I like the stability of it. That said, we have a very dynamic and exciting board now with Commissioners Garcia and Caloza. Commissioner Garcia, I've told you before, you're made for the role. that you are able to fulfill here. And I just enjoy working with you every day. And Commissioner Caloza, our newest member of the Board of Public Works, thank you for the role that you're playing here and for the leadership that you've shown to our community, to our city, and to me, and the representation that you provide and the leadership you provide from the API community, which I learn about a little more from you every single day. And thank you for carrying me along in the work that you do here. I really appreciate it. And so with that, I'll grant Commissioner Cabello a brief point of privilege.
Very brief point of privilege. Thank you, newly re-elected President James. I just want to, I think, express our gratitude for your leadership on behalf of my colleagues on the board, the entire Department of Public Works, and all the bureaus. Without your guidance, without your leadership, I don't think we'd be nearly as strong as we are. So thank you. We all appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello.
Yeah, I'd like to say something very briefly in terms of the re-election. I think it's well-deserved for the entire team. Our Vice President, first I'll take, who also brings to us the experience of budget, and certainly critically important for everything we do in public organization is the budget. And so I think that that is one of the real strengths that she brings to our leadership. In addition to that, a tireless warrior is Kevin James, who, like me, is here definitely after 5 quite often. But I think equally important, the stability of leadership that we have brought in public works is something that's very important to our city. And finally, I will say, when we look at the mayor's office in terms of what choices they have made, this board is an example of what we seek, being a person and a student of diversity, and looking at what we could possibly achieve. When you look at your very own board here in the Board of Public Works, it's an example of what we expect and hope for in the work that we do. In this board, you see a representative in terms of gender and in terms of every area of civil rights. You see it right here in this board. So for that, I'm eternally grateful for what we have been able to achieve, because oftentimes when we look at talent, we might not be able to achieve that. But again, kudos to the mayor's office for putting this great leadership team together. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. And I'll just close with saying that the Department of Public Works is popular because of all of you and the people that work in our incredible department, and all of the bureaus and divisions and subdivisions and groups and everything that makes up the almost 6,000 employees in the city of Los Angeles that touch the tens of millions of people that we touch every single day. So thank you all. And with that, that'll take us to agenda item number 10, a contract amendment, Los Angeles Conservation Corps Community Beautification Services for fiscal year 2019-2020. Recommending that the board authorize OCB, subject to transfer and appropriation, to execute a contract amendment with the Los Angeles Conservation Corps in the amount of $282,768.88 for the Clean and Green Youth Jobs Program in Council District 11, and authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract amendment after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney. Mr. Roch, you shall be the first presenter in the 7th year of this administration at the Board of Public Works.
My honor to do so. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. Once again, OCB does contract with nonprofit community-based organizations for various services, including graffiti removal, litter abatement, weed cleanup, and other things as funded. The Los Angeles Conservation Corps is one of those nonprofit agencies which provides these services, and they do so including through the hiring of local youth as part of the Clean and Green program. The office of Councilmember Mike Bonin has secured funding from the Council District 11 portion of the Street Furniture Revenue Fund in order to further develop, support, and encourage community beautification efforts, specifically in Council District 11, by providing those funds for a dedicated Clean and Green crew in CD11. Typically, when the LA Conservation Corps runs their Clean and Green program, their crews move around the city. But with this funding, there will be one dedicated crew, which basically consists of 6 to 8 youth, ages 13 to 17, and 2 adult supervisors that will be working specifically in Council District 11 on projects that shall include sidewalk cleanup and beautification, weed abatement, litter cleanup, light tree maintenance, cleaning of the tree wells, tree watering, and other as-needed services directed by the council office. So once again, we request board approval to amend the existing contract with LA Conservation Corps.
Any questions on this regarding the LA Conservation Corps amendment? All right, thank you, Mr. Roch. Commissioner Garcia has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 10, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 10. Thank you, sir. Any issue sending number 10 forthwith? We'll send number 10 forthwith. Let's take up agenda item number 14. We have a couple of speaker cards on 14. Policy number 797, co-location review process for the above-ground facilities variance requests, recommending that the board adopt a formal co-location review process for monopoles that require a permit from the Bureau of Engineering under the AGF ordinance established by the Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 62.08 and direct BOE and the Bureau of Street Lighting to incorporate the formal co-location process, review process, into project applications subject to the height limit requirement of the AGF ordinance. Mr. Sawaya on number 14.
Good morning. Ramzi Sawaya with Bureau of Engineering. To meet the City of Los Angeles objective of minimizing the impacts of monopoles and above-ground facilities to the aesthetic of public space and nearby properties, Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Street Lighting established a formal co-location review process for monopoles that require a permit from Bureau of Engineering under the AGF ordinance. Our co-location review process requires the following. Number one, applicants must seek co-location opportunities with all existing poles within the applicant's area of interest and submit the request for co-location. Two, if no feasible co-location option is found within the area of interest, the applicants must provide a site analysis to Bureau of Engineering that includes the location of all existing poles within that area, the pole details, and the reasons for co-location and feasibility, along with supporting documents. Number three, the Bureau of Street Lighting will review the area of interest as well as an area within 150 feet of the proposed monopole to determine if any existing street lighting poles or potential locations of new street lighting poles are feasible for co-location. If the Bureau of Street Lighting deems that no feasible co-location opportunities exist, a no co-location determination letter will be issued. Number four, in cases where no co-location option is found, the Bureau of Street Lighting may make available the option to install a new streetlight pole in lieu of a monopole. The new streetlight pole will no longer be subject to the requirements of the AGF ordinance and instead would be considered a BSL co-location pole. This option would require agreement from the property owner adjacent to the streetlight, payment from the applicant of 10 years of assessment to cover energy and maintenance of the new streetlight, agreement from the applicant to continue to pay for the assessment annually after the 10th year if the new streetlight is to remain as a co-location pole, agreement from the applicant to pay for 10 years of assessment after they opt to abandon the site if the new streetlight is not annexed into a streetlight district. Also, it will require an agreement from the applicant that all other terms and conditions under the master permit for attachment of communication equipment to the City of Los Angeles street lighting poles would be applicable to the co-location pole. The Bureau of Street Lighting and Bureau of Engineering would recommend that the board adopt the recommendation provided in this report.
Okay, thank you, Ramsey. This has been, I know, a work in progress for some time, and I want to thank a number of my colleagues for their work on this. Commissioners Garcia, Commissioner Cabello, Commissioner Caloza, the Bureau of Engineering as well. We got a letter from representatives from Verizon, Gadsby, Dillon, and Balance, that raise some additional questions related to the the proposed policy, and I think that some of these questions are valid questions. So and I know that we have a couple of representatives from Verizon here as well. So what we might do is hear from them, and given the fact that I think some legitimate questions have been raised by their counsel, that we have, and that's what makes this process, this deliberative process, I think one of the better processes in the city, that we have the opportunity, in public hearings like this, to work on this together. So I think we'd like to hear from them, and then we can have a discussion on where we go from here. I think likely we will put this item over to enable us to answer some of these questions and possible rework the policy and continue the collaboration. So we will start with, I've got representatives from Verizon here, and really in whichever order you would like to come up. I've got one speaker card with a couple of different names on it. Okay. Hi. And we have street lighting here as well that can answer some of the questions. Go ahead.
Good morning.
And by the way, you're a real party in interest, so we don't, take your time. Don't repeat yourself, as I always say, but don't feel like you have to cram it into 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
As one of the
Perfect.
real parties in
I
interest.
appreciate that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning, board, as well as staff. My name is Daisy Wikimpang, and I'm a Verizon representative on behalf of Verizon, speaking on item number 14. I'd like to first thank the staff for working with us and the other carriers with regards to this co-location policy. In spirit, we are not objecting to this policy. However, Verizon Wireless would like to request for further clarification as to the details and how the process is to be implemented in order to make it clear for the applicants as far as submitting items towards the Bureau of Engineering, as well as the Bureau of Street Lighting. The request, therefore, from Verizon is to defer taking action on this item pending further collaboration between the stakeholders. Important details are outlined as far as what items we're requesting for clarification on the letter that was sent by our counsel. And I am here today to reiterate some of those points. One of the points that we're requesting either modification or clarification on is the point of ownership. So the question is, as far as when Bureau of Street Lighting decides that a new street light's to be installed, who then maintains ownership of which particular parts of the pole? The pole itself, the lighting fixture, obviously the antennas and radios would be the carriers, but there's clarification that needs to, be made on those items in order for us to determine whether an option for a street light replacement that will become a functional street light is a good option for the carrier. Furthermore, the question also kind of follows with ownership is whether maintenance and management of the pole is also being handled by which parties. So we think that the co-location policy in front of you today is a great start, but obviously there's details that the carriers as well as the Bureau of Street Lighting and the Bureau of Engineering, we would love to have the opportunity to further define the steps. Secondly, the second item that we would like to request for clarification on is the prepayment of the assessments. At this time, the draft policy in front of you today does not quantify or provide justification for these said assessments. And from discussions that we have had with Bureau of Street Lighting, the assessment is very reliant on location and different other factors that perhaps is a formula of some sorts. And this makes it difficult for the carrier to basically plan ahead as far as the project scope and what we're trying to do. So in order to be efficient and try to get wireless coverage to the city in a better manner, we would like clarification as far as these assessments. The third item that we'd also like to request clarification on is basically the steps in the process. Currently, it's optional to go first to BSL. Normally, we'd go straight to AGF. We are actually requesting that BSL be the first step to make it mandatory so that that will help the carrier define whether we're going with a streetlight design or whether we're going with a monopole design. And we can make an assessment based on the costs that are associated with either design if we start at BSL first. And that will eliminate some back and forth and some lost time for the carriers. So that's what we're requesting as far as process steps. Finally, we're also requesting clarification on the requirement for us to obtain an agreement from adjacent property owners. The radius, the standards, and all that come with that particular requirement, we believe needs further clarification. So we're requesting all these changes and clarifications to ensure that the new process rules are consistent with State Law 7901, which gives the carriers the right to plant equipment and or poles in any public right-of-way, as well as consistency with current federal law, which basically states that an effective prohibition includes materially inhibiting additional services or improving existing services. So all we're requesting at this time is opportunity, again, to further collaborate. And it's not like the collaboration has not happened. We just need to take it a step further. And finally, that's pretty much it. We're just requesting for this and thanking the board and Bureau of Street Lighting and BOE for all their assistance.
Great. Thank you, ma'am, as well. Yes, Commissioner.
Could you clarify the federal law in which we should be in sync with? I know you mentioned the state law 7901.
Yeah. So in September of 2018, the FCC basically came out with a small cells order. It's also outlined in our attorney's letter. And basically, it gives the carriers an opportunity to densify their network in such a way. And so we're just making sure that the steps that are being required of the carriers with this particular policy does not prohibit or materially inhibit our process in trying to provide service according to FCC order, basically, small cells order.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, President James. Thank you, Daisy, for your a thorough response to this, which I appreciate. And basically, I do agree, which is exactly what we're trying to do is this mandatory first step going through BSL. This is exactly what the spirit of this board is about. So in that, we're definitely in agreement. Now, as far as the topic of the street light, that's it's an alternative option to the options that we provide. So you don't have to do that. We are putting that as an offer, as an option for all carriers when we see that the street has no street light and that yet we're asking to put a monopole in there. That's where we see it a little bit unfair to our community. So as a community benefit from telecommunication companies to us, it would be nice to put the street light up there, but it's totally an option. If you see it here, we may offer that as an option for you. It's not always going to be offered. But I'm going to let Victor from BSL answer your questions regarding the option piece if you do decide to go that way. Secondly, the notification, this one does not talk about notification. This is just an internal formalization process. This is just today's board report is just to discuss the fact that we're now mandating that we go first through BSL, check if there's any co-location opportunities, exhaust those opportunities, and if there isn't, then you can go to BOE to then apply for the monopole. However, so that's really what we're trying to do, is exactly what you said anyway. We'll let Victor answer your questions regarding the street light, if that's an option for telecommunication carriers to do. So when we put this together, it was just as a thought as when we have streets that have no street lights in them, that this will be something that we can offer the community.
And if I may, yeah, it's definitely, we understand it is an option. However, the alternative, for example, if it is offered to us, if we do not take the option to do the streetlight, then we have to reverse and redesign our whole project, start from scratch, and go back to the monopole option and go through the AGF process, which, as you know, requires quite a few steps. So that's, that's part of our concern of, if we can identify in advance, that, and that's something that I understand we could do. But I just think that from a carrier's perspective, we just need further steps, clarification, just so there's no ambiguity from our end, since a lot of our work is also being done by our contractors. So the more clarity that we provide them, it would be better. And as far as the street lighting option, we're not necessarily objecting to that either. It's just that for that, it does entail certain things as far as ownership, maintenance, and all those details, which at the current form, the draft policy does not address. So, we just would like to basically identify responsibilities, the costs and stuff like that.
Oh, no, I agree with that too. And there's something that Ted has been part of all of our meetings as well, so I know that it's been kind of blessed by the attorney's office as well. But again, I will be more than happy to answer all those further questions regarding the street light. And as far as the formalization, the essence of this board report is really to check in with BSL first. That's really what we're aiming for.
Yes.
Before we can actually go move forward and approve a monopole.
Yes, ma'am. And we appreciate the spirit of it, and that's why that was the first thing I started with, because I want the board to know this is not something we're just objecting on its whole. It's just the parts just need to be ironed out.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. And we have another speaker as well. Ms. Nichols, do you want to add anything on?
Hi, good morning, and
Hi.
congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Daisy hit on most of the points, so I won't reiterate all of those. But I would like to suggest maybe a stakeholders meeting where we could all get together and have some of those issues cleared, because it is more than just checking in with BSL. There are some specifics about the street light in there that I think need to be clarified before this resolution is approved by the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you. Ramsey, wasn't this presented to the board to the meeting that you guys usually have with the telecommunication carriers?
We did back in February, part of the Los Angeles Substructure Committee. We did inform all the stakeholders, and also we did send them a copy of the draft policy.
And at that time, they had time to, an option to also discuss it and talk about it and make sure that all their concerns were heard before we got to this point?
Right, but
Okay.
we have not been requested to meet, or we were not approached to meet or discuss. The only meeting we had is about the notification of the tenants.
Okay, which
But
is a different.
Different topic. We did not
Got it.
discuss co-location and this
Okay,
policy.
but this co-location board report was presented to the telecommunication carriers back in February. Yeah, we've been kind of doing this very slowly. Okay, so they had a chance to also speak on it, right?
Correct.
Okay. Ramsey.
Thank you. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James, and I'd also like to thank Commissioner Garcia, Engineering and Street Lighting, for all your work. Go ahead and sit down, Ramsey. I just want to make a couple of points. First and foremost, I very much appreciate the letter from the representatives of Verizon. I think it was extremely thorough and very well thought out. These are very legitimate issues that we maybe want to consider defining further in a future board report. I support continuing this item because it seems like there are a lot of unanswered questions, and having this discussion is both robust and healthy for us to better refine this policy. I think that I would like to have the representative from street lighting come up to maybe address some of these questions that are brought up in the letter from Verizon's representatives. But with that in mind, I very much support continuing this item and maybe coming back with a further refined policy. I'm not certain if we are required to continue items, Dr. Campos, to a date certain in board?
The board has two options. One, you can continue the item to a date certain as specified by this board, or two, you can continue it with a date to be determined to be selected with the collaboration with the bureaus. So I can work with the bureaus and we can determine a date.
I'm going to move that we do the latter, so we have time to get this right. I think even though this has been worked on for a while, we want to make sure the policy is exactly right, and I think this letter is a good guideline. And so thank you to all the carriers, but especially to Verizon for putting forward something very thoughtful. And with that.
Not yet. Thank you. Victor, go ahead. Hi. Welcome
morning.
back.
Good morning, President James, commissioners, and bureau reps. With regards to the co-location process, we do have answers to most of, and I believe all of these questions. So clarification can be granted to and given to Verizon and all the carriers. I don't see a problem with any of these questions. We do have some responses. I have some responses right now that if you give me just a second, we can kind of clarify a few things.
Sure.
With the intent of this AGF process was, while it's in going through the AGF process, that they reach out to us for an approval. Now, that doesn't lock them into having to go to AGF first. We will accommodate and ask them to come to us first so they can come to BSL. We look at the site. We can even go as far as actually looking at the cost of the assessment of the pole that's going to be installed. So that is an option, and BSO is more than willing to work with that. With regards to the request to have it in the document, that's something that we can iron out, I guess, at a later time if it's to be continued. And the adjacent owners notifying, all that is something that we can clarify. That's not a problem as well. When we say the adjacent owner for the purpose of installing the pole, we mean directly adjacent. Wherever the pole is going to be placed, that property that is being placed in front of. So that's one of the things. We have an assessment process and a way of determining all these fees as well. That's also available on our website. All this information, we can grant them and forward them that information.
I think it would be helpful for all parties involved to have that in a written board report or part of the report. I don't know if we do an amended report or a new report. I'm not quite sure of that process. But it would be helpful to have that in writing. So maybe we continue until that can be done.
What I would recommend that we do, Commissioner Garcia?
Oh, no, I was going to support that just because the option, it's an option to get the street light. Nobody's being mandated, but if the telecommunication carriers would want to go that way, it would also benefit us as a city. So I support the motion of holding it off until we can get more language into the street light, because maybe that's a way that we can get more telecommunication carriers to go for that option. So I'm open to that too, but we would want to hear obviously all of that and put it in more detailed writing, because that can be a feasible option.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. And so just to clarify, this is not a requirement for anyone seeking a variance for an above-ground facility.
That is correct.
This is just an option. And what is the incentive for the carriers to go this route?
Well, they would have to see their incentives to see if they want to take this opportunity. So it is just an opportunity for them to be able to co-locate with us. Whatever expenses they may have on their end, they may realize that it's probably more cost efficient to come with us. But we're also looking at the benefits of the community and making it less impactful for the community itself, and having the community maybe counter the location of the monopole. It'll be more reasonable, and we could probably convince the community that it also benefit them by being a street light.
Is it faster than a variance process, the traditional variance process that we currently undergo, or they currently undergo, rather?
I would believe so.
Yeah. Okay, and the cost as well could possibly be
Exactly,
less.
and the cost, and again, being a little bit gray on that part, because it really depends on what we need to do, getting power to the site, things like that, but we would get all those costs for them ready. That way they know whether it'll be a feasible option.
So quicker process and possibly more cost efficient, but that's to be determined on a site-by-site basis.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Commissioner Davis?
Did you address the prepayment of assessment that was raised in terms of a clarification of that?
With regards to the prepayment, the assessment, that portion, that clause is actually there for a couple of reasons. One is these new poles will probably be installed in an area that's not currently assessed. And usually, if we're going to install new poles, it would have to go through an assessment process, which is the Prop 218 process. In order to transfer that over basically to the carriers, we're looking at a requirement where we would ask them for assessment for a certain period of time. That assessment would cover maintenance of the pole, which BSL would take on. The carriers would not be assumed that role of maintenance of
Did you define that period of time?
10 years.
Okay. To that end, you mentioned maintenance. What about the ownership and who has it in this circumstance?
The ownership is seen as being BSL. It would belong to the city of Los Angeles.
And who would do the maintenance on it?
And we would be doing the maintenance on the pole and any street lighting portion of it, not obviously their equipment.
Okay, so I do know that your colleague did mention that we mentioned this in the meeting with all of the providers. And I would suspect that when you mentioned this in the meeting from the providers, they didn't give any feedback at that time. I don't know, I wasn't at that meeting, but there's a gap between our presentation at that meeting and us being here today. That there is now a request to have a meeting with stakeholders. And I'm kind of trying to figure out how we got to this gap when we met with them earlier. And I don't know in our presentation if the details of these issues was discussed. But I will say, as I back away from the car on this issue, that even in fact, if we don't have any feedback from the stakeholders, that probably administratively we would want to engage people in a way in which we would get some feedback from them as stakeholders, even in fact if they don't initiate it moving forward. Because obviously, at the end of the day, something was missing in that meeting. And I don't know what it was, but I do know if something was missing. So I just would offer that as we move forward.
And just to, that's a short input, and I think in some ways the city did reach out by sending the draft version of the report. Now, with regards to the meeting itself, I don't recollect that meeting in itself, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I was there at that meeting, as I came in February to the division as well, so I may not have participated in that meeting myself.
We're not sure about that meeting, but
Commissioner Davis, on our board report under the stakeholder outreach, it states February 13, 2019, there was a meeting held with all the utility companies. And then in addition, the in-person meeting, the meeting minutes and draft report were also circulated to all members on February 22nd for review, with the request for comments to be given to BOE by March 1st.
Okay.
And BOE did not receive any comments or questions on this matter at that time.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
And Ramsey, yes.
Yes, Mr. Sawaya.
I just want to mention that that meeting is held on a monthly basis.
Yes.
It's not like it was done in February and then we haven't seen, or we do it on a monthly basis, and all the telecom and utility companies attend and they are members of it. So when we distributed and gave them a copy, we did ask for a feedback.
Sure.
And, you know, if we don't receive any feedback, either negative or positive, we assume that everybody is okay with it.
Got it. Got it. So we did present and we failed to receive feedback, but this week we decided to, well, they decided to give us feedback. So I guess it is what it is.
It is, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner Capello?
And just to that point, Commissioner Davis, is though feedback may not have been received and all due diligence was done, it is helpful to be mindful and answer these questions presented to us in the letter to further refine our policy and to clarify so there is no ambiguity moving forward, which is why I support continuing the item.
Of course, we all agree.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we can do that. We appreciate the collaboration, and this process will make the policy better. So we'll do that together. So I'll second Commissioner Cabello's motion. What we're doing on this, we're continuing the item. We're going to get, it's to a date to be determined. We'll hear from the bureaus, from street lighting and engineering, on when we move forward with what will likely be a supplemental board report of sorts.
I would like to provide a third option for this board, if your board would like to consider, and that is just to withdraw the item completely based on the testimony today. If the policy is to be revised in substantial form, the bureaus can then resubmit a new policy with all the changes included, as opposed to tracking the changes and then amending the policy at a future date. That's a third option if this board would consider. However, we can keep the documents as is. However, we have been in situations where the public does not receive the revised documents in the future, and therefore that causes confusion. And so just want to raise that up, raise that to this board.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Dr. Campos. Always helpful, but I'm a little concerned about withdrawing the item at this point. Let's go with we'll keep the option that we have. Thank you for that, though. So that motion is seconded without objection. That'll be the order. Thank you, everyone, for your participation and your continued participation. We will get there on this one. We appreciate it. Let's go to agenda item number 11 is next, contract acceptance. Westwood Adaptive Traffic Control System, that's our ATSAC system, Automated Traffic Surveillance and Control System. Recommending that the board accept the contract. Ms. Wiles on number 11.
Good morning, Sephi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration. Recommending that this board accept the contract, which was awarded to KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dynalectric. The background on this is on March 13, 2013, the contract was awarded in the amount of $1,695,138 even, with a contingency of $169,513 even, giving a total authorized budget of $1,864,651 even. The project scope consisted of upgrading existing ATSAC systems by installing the adaptive traffic control systems to 40 signalized intersections in the West LA area, bounded by Sunset Boulevard on the north, the city of Beverly Hills on the east, Pico Boulevard on the south, and Centinela Avenue on the west. The ATC basically adjusts the real-time traffic signalization in response to the current traffic demands by allowing it to improve the level of service for the traffic in those streets.
Go ahead.
59 change orders were issued, increasing the contract amount, and the final adjusted amount of the contract was $1,801,832.90. It was 6.29% above awarded amount and 3.37% below its authorized budget. The change orders were due to small additional improvements throughout the city, and all work and final corrections were completed October 2014. Retention was released thereafter, and there are no disputed funds withheld, therefore no monies due to the contractor. Dynalectric met all the EEO and labor requirements of the contract, met and exceeded the outreach and MSM levels, as well as met the PLA goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Wiles on number 11? I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 11, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 11. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes of Friday, June 14th, 2019? That's by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, the meeting minutes of June 14th are approved. Ms. Wiles, you're here on number 12 as well.
Mr. President, before you go on to item number 12, on item 11, is there consideration to adopt the item forthwith?
Oh, did I neglect that? Yeah.
I believe so.
Oh, okay. How did we miss that today?
Just in case you did
Yeah,
say it,
any
I'd like
issue
just to
sending number
confirm
11
again.
forthwith?
Thank you.
Thank you. So that'll take us to number 12. Council District 9, contract acceptance, Coliseum Florence Phase 1 ATSAC project as well, recommending that we accept the contract. Ms. Wiles on number 12.
Yes. Another award, acceptance request recommendation. This contract was awarded to Comet Inc. on September 21, 2011 in the amount of $5,140,642 even, with the contingency of $514,064, giving a total authorized budget of $5,654,706 even. Additional joint reports revised the authorized budget to $6,225,006 even, And again, this project consisted of upgrading existing traffic controlled signalization in the area of the central area of the city of Los Angeles, bounded by Adams Boulevard on the north, Compton Avenue on the east, 49th Street on the south, and Maple Avenue and Main Street on the west. There were 70 change orders issued, increasing the contract amount by $905,139.31, bringing the total cost of the contract to $6,045,781.31, 17% above the awarded amount and 0.34 above its authorized budget. Again, the change orders were primarily due to small additional improvements throughout the city, and all work and final corrections were completed in October 2013. Retention was released thereafter, and there are no disputed funds withheld, therefore no funds due the contractor. Comment met all the EEO and labor requirements of the contract and met the outreach levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on number 12? No questions on number 12. I'll make a motion on number 12, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 12. Any issue sending 12 forthwith? We'll send number 12 forthwith. And Seffi, 3 in a row from Ms. Wiles today. On number 13, that'll be also at SAC for Hyde Park West, contract acceptance in Council District 8.
Yes, again, Seffi Wiles requesting the board accept this contract, which was awarded to Dyna Electric in February 2008 in the amount of $5,918,900 even, giving it a revised authorized budget with contingency to $7,227,956.60. Again, the project consisted of installation of ATSEC upgrades and at 70 existing signalized intersections in the communities of Hyde Park, Chesterfield Square, and South Los Angeles areas, bounded by 48th Street on the north, Century Boulevard on the south, Western Avenue on the east, and West Boulevard on the west. 44 change orders were issued, increasing the contract amount, bringing the total cost to $6,837,896.40. The increased amount construction change orders were due to, again, additional improvements throughout the city. All final and correction work was completed April 27, 2011. Retention was released thereafter. There are no disputed funds withheld, therefore no funds due to the contractor. Comment met all the EEO and labor requirements of the contract and met the outreach levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiles. Any questions on agenda item number 13? I'll make a motion that we adopt 13, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 13. How about sending that forthwith, which we will do? All right. Thank you, Ms. Wiles. That'll move us to 15, Authority for Expenditure CR&R Incorporated. Sanitation and Accounting are requesting board approval on execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $875,269.78 to CR&R to encumber funding to pay for the processing and marketing of residential blue bin materials. They may be residual as well, from East Valley and Western Los Angeles watersheds, or rather waste sheds. The term of the AFE shall cover the services from April 1, 2018 through July of 2018. So, Mr. Potter, we're paying bills from services last year. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, Executive Officer. Robert Potter, LA Sand and Environment. We're here today to request board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $875,269.78 to CR&R Inc. to encumber funds to pay for the processing and marketing of residential blue bin materials from East Valley and West Los Angeles waste sheds. This is for the period of April 1st, 2018 to July of 2018. LA Sand's previous contract with CR&R C127919 that allowed for the processing of East Valley blue bin materials expired July 25th, 2018. However, prior to expiration, CR&R was unable to process the East Valley blue bin materials due to construction at their processing facility, Potential Industries. CR&R notified LA Sand that they could only handle up to 80 tons per day at their facility in Stanton. LA San also had a contract with CNR&R for the processing of harbor blue bin materials, which was C127918, with an emergency clause that allowed CR&R to process West LA blue bin materials. The contract C127918 was terminated on July 31st due to financial impacts CR&R was facing related to China's national sword policies, which restricted importing scrap materials and thus significantly decreased the market value of recyclables. Since both contracts were revenue-generating agreements that only had a mechanism for the vendor to pay the city, and because of the financial impacts due to China's stricter importation policies, LA San agreed to pay CR&R for the processing of East Valley and West LA blue bin materials from April 1st, 2018 to July 31st of 2018. This agreement was necessary to provide uninterrupted and essential blue bin collection services for our East Valley and West LA waste sheds. CR&R accepted, processed, and marketed the blue bin materials collected from East Valley and West LA waste sheds. The processing unit costs for these services are based on the sum value of each commodity minus the cost of processing the blue bin materials, cost for processing mixed glass, and cost for disposing of contamination. The total amount to be paid to CR&R for East Valley is $318,271.81, and the total amount to be paid for West LA is $556,997.97 for the grand total of $875,269.78. This request has no effect on the general fund and will be paid with SWORF funds. Thank you, and I can answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Potter, and I would mention that in the public document there is a table that provides the invoices for the various locations. So it is the market that we're in right now for recyclables. I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that I don't see any others, so I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 15, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 15. Any issue sending 15 forthwith? We'll send 15 forthwith. Mr. Potter, one thing, just going forward on this, would you maybe schedule a meeting with me just to talk about going forward what we're going to be? I just need an update of kind of where we are and where we're going with the markets and after what's happening with China and everything else regarding recyclables and blue bin material.
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. And then maybe it's something that will be due for an oral report update in the coming months, depending on what's happening.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we did send that forthwith as well. That'll take us to, Dr. Campos, have we cleared the voting items?
Yes, you have.
Okay, 2 oral reports, at least. Agenda item 17, task order solicitation process update and such regarding use of subcontractors and pre-qualified on-call lists. Before we start, though, we will have Mr. Sachs, who has put in a card on number 17.
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Sachs. And the devil's in the details. I really appreciate the presentation by Verizon. What really caught my eye, though, was the fact that she mentioned something about the state allowing installation of poles, whether they be light poles or monopoles. So I'm thinking, well, if the state allows it, who has, and she was questioning who has a liability here. And so the liability of ownership is different than ownership of liability. And although they sound the same, they're entirely different phrases legally. Like
you know, Mr. Sachs, I'm being very lenient this morning regarding your hitting on this agenda.
The only reason I'm asking this is because you have a pre-qualified list of contractors. So would the contractors be aware of what the state is allowed versus what the city doesn't allow? I mean, is that included in your pre-qualified list?
That's a creative connection, sir. Go ahead.
So
not
again,
bad, not bad.
I took notes. So again, I would say, like, if you have a house you have liability of ownership. But if you have an LLC, there is no ownership of liability because an LLC is a corporation. So there's no 50% ownership in the house. So there's no ownership of liability. That's the problem, because if you have to meet state requirements followed up by city requirements and then county requirements, you're like playing a shell game here. And that's the problem, because really what ends up happening is yes, Verizon will get this power pole up or this light pole up or this monopole up, but for the general public, they won't know which shell to look
2
under.
minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we will start with Fred. You jumped up first. Eager Fred this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President James and commissioners and city attorney. My name is Fred Musavipur, Assistant Director of Street LA. Only report I have, this board awarded 3 tosses beginning of this month for technology improvement, strategic and vision improvement for the Bureau. The consultants are on board. They're moving forward expeditiously. We're making progress, and we would be more than happy to report back in further progress on these tosses. I'm here to answer any question you may have.
Anything from Streets LA? Thank you, sir. Mr. Ohanian, I see you sitting there as well.
Good morning. Eddie Ohanian, Bureau of Engineering. I'm here to present to you the quarterly report on the status of personal services contracts managed by the Bureau of Engineering for the period of April 1st, 2019 to June 31st, 2019, the second quarter for this year. The quarter started with 105 active contracts. No contracts expired during the quarter. No new contracts was added, and the quarter ended with 105 contracts. During the second quarter, 9 contracts for civil engineering consulting services of the Street Improvement Program was extended for 3 years with no additional funding. However, during the third quarter, the quarter we are in, July, August, and September, 9 contracts are going to expire. One of the 9 contracts is for engineering services of Animal Bond Program. BOE is requesting the board for 1-year time extension, and the board report will be coming to the board very soon. 8 of the 9 contracts are architectural and related professional services. The BOE is requesting board for renewal of the contract for additional 5 years. And again, for this contract group, a board report is coming to the board very soon. And now about the invoice activities for outreach program in the second quarter. During the quarter, the Bureau of Engineering was invoiced $10,783,219. From this amount, $1,613,862 was invoiced towards MBE WBE outreach program, of which 11% was for the MBE, 4% for WBE, and 6% was for OBE. And $7,484,445 was invoiced towards business inclusion program, of which 19% was for MBE, 9% was for WBE, 27% was for SBE, 10% was for EBE, Emerging Business Enterprise, and 0.4% was for DVBE. And also for Disadvantaged Business Outreach Program for federal contracts, we were invoiced $1,684,912, which 13% was invoiced towards DBE, which is again disadvantaged business enterprise. Now about the summary of the new tasks issued in the second quarter. Bureau of Engineering issued 19 new tasks toward our current active contracts, 3 of which was over $150,000, and the board authorization was received for the total amount of $4,136,462. And 16 of these contracts, of 19 contracts, they were under $150,000, and the city engineer awarded those contracts under Policy 793, and total for these 16 contracts, just under $1 million, $953,153. Status on the task order solicitation. LA Baldwin Business Assistance Virtual Network continues to work successfully. We have not received any complaints. There was no problems and issues with the system, and it functions pretty well. Now, final part of this report is negative deviations. Out of 105 contracts that at the time the report was prepared, there were 39 contracts with negative deviations. In my conversations with our contract managers, all tasks have enough money. I would say all tasks except 3 have sufficient time and money and funding available for them to meet their pledges. And those 3 that are not going to meet is a task that is near completion, and consultant will not meet their pledges of 15.39% for MBE, and this is for an MBE WBE program. Consultant, however, their achievement of 12.58% exceeds the department goal of 12%. So although they did not meet their pledges, however, they exceeded our program objectives. We have another contract that is not going to meet, is an MBE pledge. Were not met because the MBE subconsultant merged with an OBE firm. As part of amending contract for another 5-year term, the board authorization is being sought, and a board report will come in to adjust their MBE, WBE participation levels as part of this contract. The third contract that WBE pledges of 15.6% was not met because WBE consultants ceased business operations because before completion of their task. However, consultant achievement of 10.7% is much higher than the department goal of 2%. So again, even though they did not meet their pledges of 15%, but they did achieve 10.7%, much higher than the 2% of the department goal. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ohanian. Thank you for some of the explanations on the negative deviations that have occurred. I did not see any that are particularly startling, although there are a couple of them that are in double digits. But
right.
Some of those happen for varying reasons. But thank you, sir.
Sure.
Anything else remarkable you want to add on this?
I'm sorry?
Anything else of remark on this?
No, I think we're proceeding very successfully. We are in a regular conversation and meeting with our division managers, and they are in constant contact with their consulting firms. So we think our program is proceeding and meeting our department goals and objectives.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Marcel Nguyen, the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Commissioners.
We're still on 17. You're okay. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners and executive staff. My name is Marcel Nguyen, and I'm with Office of Wage Standards, Bureau of Contract Administration. During this reporting period, which covers the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2018-2019, 12 contracts expired. All 12 contracts were for pre-qualified on-call community and business outreach consultants for various wage and standards enforcement and implementation projects. To replace these contracts, the board adopted and executed contracts with 10 consultants placed on the pre-qualified on-call list. for various wage standard enforcement and city labor standards projects. These contracts will span 3 years and are set to expire in 2022. No contracts will expire next quarter. One task order under Policy 793 was awarded to 4 contractors for a total award amount of $87,074.36 from the general fund monies. This task order provides targeted door-to-door outreach on city minimum wage, paid sick leave, and fair chance initiative order, hiring topics to employers with businesses in the city of Los Angeles. This concludes my presentation, and we're happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions at all for contract administration? We'll see you in a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that'll take us to sanitation, to Van Hope. Good morning. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tu Van Ho. I'm from the Area Sanitation and Environment. Today, I'm going to provide the update on the 24 on-call contract process. Recently, our on-call contract have been approved for 5 years renewal and extended to July 22nd, 2024. As of July 22nd, 2019, Area Sanitation awarded 93 task orders for a total awarded contract amount in excess of $130 million to 21 prime consultants on the list. We awarded 37 task orders that are less than $150,000 and 56 task orders over $150,000. In regards to the subconsultant utilization, for MBE, we have pledged 26.4%, WBE 10%, SBE 25.5%, EBE 15.8%, DVBE 0.7%, OBE 20.9%. Though pledge percentage based on $130 million, and we achieved 29.8% for MBE, 9.7% for WBE, 24% for SBE, 16% for EBE, 0.7% for DVBE, and 18.8%. That's based on the total invoice amount of $85.5 million. And currently, we are still continue to work with Bureau of Contract Administration to verify the subconsultant utilized under each task order in order to finalize the follow-up board report for 5 years renewal, and will be submitted to the board within a month. Yes. Thank you, and I am ready for your questions.
Thank you. Any questions at all? Thank you for the update. Would you email me kind of the written stats that you worked off of?
Yes, actually, the written report,
Sherry, they part of your report.
Yes, she submitted together
that
with
I
her
already have,
quarterly.
right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for that. Then I have it.
Okay. And this is Alexa Esparza. She from sanitation also, but she managed the other on-call contract for automation projects. That's different from 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, too. Good to see you.
Hi. I'm Alexa Esparza. I admin support for Information Control Systems Division.
Hi, Mrs. Esparza.
Hi. We have 9 on-call contracts for the sanitation, automation, and technology projects. They will expire on April 8th of 2021, and we are currently working on the amendment to extend that contract. So far, under these contracts, we have 16 task orders issued with a total of 10 awarded. The total contract amount awarded is $13,455,776, and the total task order expenditures are $5,918,037. In response to a task order solicitation, proposals must include subcontractor utilization as outlined in the on-call contract with set anticipated participation levels as 10% MBE, 2% WBE, 1% SBE, 1% EBE, and 1% DVBE. So far, our resulted task orders participations are MBE pledged of 28.9% and achieved to date at 54.1%. WBE is pledged of 8.2% with achieved of 21.5%. SBE pledged of 0.4% and achieved to date is 1.1%. EBE is 0.1% and achieved to date is 0.3%. And so far we don't have any pledged for DVBE. The total, as I said, the total contract awarded is $13,455,776.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Mrs. Esparza? Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll take us into 18. We're going to let Ms. Kuroki go first, but Mr. Sachs has a card in first. I know, Sherry, you were that close. 2 more minutes, max.
That's it, that's fine, I'm in. Thank you very much. I just really wanted to do public comment, but her comment, I guess, got some,
Well, you did
my
public
brain
comment today.
restarted. Thank you.
Go ahead.
For the record, Arnold Sachs, and Arnold Sachs for the record. So you'll like the way I stretch this one. These personal service contracts. So I'm thinking like Cool Hand Luke. There's a famous scene in the movie Cool Hand Luke where he's told by the warden, there's a couple of famous scenes, but he's told by the warden to dig a hole in the prison grounds. And so he gets a shovel and starts digging. That's one personal service contract for the guy who tells him to dig the hole. And he takes the dirt and he puts it on the ground outside the hole. And he digs this hole 6 feet long, 6 feet deep, whatever it is. And then the guy who's in charge of the ground, another personal service contract, says, "What's Boss Jones' dirt doing on Boss Smith's yard?" Different personal service contract, different requirement. So it's the same thing with the city and the county and the state. State is one boss, the county is another boss, and the city is another boss. That's a real problem. That's a real problem, and I understand and I appreciate your conundrum that you really don't have any influence over that. A lot of the things are just done in different departments. But the real thing is to get some leadership to say, you know what? We have too many bosses with too many different agendas to get anything done. That's the real problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Ms. Kuroki, welcome back. I have your report.
Yes.
I had it 2 days ago, but go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau Rep, City Attorney, Executive Officer. My name is Sherry Kuroki. I'm with Sanitation. FYI, this may be the final time I'm up here presenting this report because
I know you told
Nancy
me that.
Lanton will be taking over next month with the monthlies and the quarterlies, unless she becomes sick or goes on VC.
We're still going to see you, though.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll come. I'll come to visit, yes. No, you'll see me in briefies and stuff like that. Yeah. So for the quarter ending June 30th, the total amount billed since last quarter was $48.3 million. The total for contracts with subcontractor participation is as follows. For the older outreach program contract, $16.1 million. For the BIP contracts, approximately $32.2 million. And the participation breakdown is as follows. For the older MBE WB outreach program contracts, MBE 0.1%, WBE 6.3%, and OBE 3.7% for a total of 10.1%. For the BIP contracts, MBE 12.2%, WBE 2.9%, SBE 9.4%, EBE 3.5%, DVBE 0.3%, OBE 8.7%, for a total of 30.0%. We have 6 solid waste biosolids contracts expiring. 3 of them will be renewed. First one is responsible biosolids management. That's for the loading, transporting, and beneficial use of the city's biosolids. And we'll be exercising a 3-year renewal option. And that board report is under ConAd review. Second one, USA Waste of California. Cellular Sanitation plans to amend that contract to revise the rate schedule, as well as exercise a 5-year renewal option. That was already adopted by board, and it's currently under CAO review. And a third, PacWest American Scale. For scale calibration, we'll be exercising a 5-year renewal option for that contract as well. And it's currently under my staff's review. 3 contracts won't be renewed. Those are with CR&R for organic material processing, and we'll be distributing a new RFP for those services. Railroad Pacific, that's for the blue bin, black bin container replacement program, and we'll be executing new contracts with Railroad and IPL. That actually was already adopted by council and will be proceeding to board for execution hopefully in the next couple weeks. And third, West Coast Rendering, that's for dead animal processing and recovery services. And LA Sanitation won't be renewing that contract. However, we are developing a contingency plan for the disposal of such carcasses.
Ms. Croakey, one moment.
Yes.
Since you were talking about carcasses and disposal thereof, I thought I would. That was a good time to jump in. Sally Martinez, you have a group that's come in today, and let me just say first, we're the Board of Public Works. We're getting an oral report right now. We get various reports to our board from the bureaus that are part of the Department of Public Works on contracts, really contract updates, some of them that are not going to be renewed, and then when a contract is not renewed, what we're going to do regarding that subject matter going forward. The department itself lets out billions of dollars of contracts a year, so this is one of our quarterly reports that you're hearing right now. Yes, ma'am. Well, if you said USC, I'm sure that Dr. Davis here has nothing to say.
They've already made great choices about Commissioner
Garcia. All right, who got his PhD, and Commissioner Garcia. When I don't have a rivalry, and I've got 2 on the same team.
That's right.
Between Commissioners Davis and Commissioner Garcia.
That's right.
Any other Trojans? You're not a Trojan. Yeah, that's right.
We'll make her a Trojan.
Well, welcome aboard, and we'll
Congratulations,
continue with our reports. We meet every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. If I could just take one more minute, in this amazing room, which outside of a movie studio is the most filmed room in the city of Los Angeles. This room was in great movies over the years, including A Few Good Men. It's been used very recently for television shows like Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. It's been used recently for Lethal Weapon. We just did a 20s period piece that I can't remember the name of that is going to be a big budget feature film where this room was used. And and the area that we're sitting in occasionally is walled off to become the White House conference room or the Roosevelt room for the TV show Veep. So there's lots of work like that happens in this room as well. With that, Ms. Kuroki, please go right ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 2 wastewater contracts that will be expiring within the next 9 months. These 2 contracts will not be renewed. The first is with ABB for control system support at DC Tillman and LA Glendale water reclamation plants. The contract is no longer needed due to the implementation of the wastewater control system replacement project. And then the second one that won't be renewed is with Pacific Sewer Maintenance Corporation and Root Tamers. That's for sewer root control treatment. And LA Sanitation will be executing a new contract with the selected proposer from the RFP process and that contract is also under CAO review. We had 17 contracts with subcontractor deviation concerns. It's up one contract from last quarter's count. The majority of the deviations are with the contracts for the wastewater on-calls. The main reasons for the deviations include that LA Sanitation revised the scope of services, and therefore the subcontractor goals will not be met. Also, subcontractors will be utilized during the later phases of the projects. The project was just initiated, and therefore few invoices have been received to date, and therefore the subcontract utilization information is not inputted into our database and included in the report. Also, LA Sanitation staff performed the subcontractor portion of some of the work, and occasionally the contractor does overestimate the services required of the subcontractor. It's not an exact science. And just an FYI, for the quarters usually ending June 30th, sometimes all the invoices don't get in because of fiscal year-end projects. Sometimes we fall a little behind. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Sherry on her finale today?
Yes.
Thank you,
None?
Sherry.
Okay,
Thank you for
thank
the
you.
reports, and I'm sure your team will keep them coming in regular fashion.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's go to street services.
Okay, good morning. My name is Monica Frierson with Street Services, and I represent Bureau of Street Services, or Streets LA. We have a total of 6 personal services contracts during this contract period, which starts from April 1st and it ends to June 30th. During this period, we had 2 piggybacks, where we're piggybacking off of sanitation, which is the Clean Harbor, and we're piggybacking from Office of Beautification on the graffiti control systems. We have 1 OBE that we participate in with Clean Harbor, and that participation is 2.3 that we collected this particular quarter. We've collected $898,753 for the 6 contracts that I mentioned. And out of the 6 contracts, 5 of the 6 are in cover all council districts, with only 1 covering Council District 4, which is the Far East landscape. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Streets LA? I don't have any.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's go to contract administration.
Good morning, Commissioners, City Attorney, and Executive Staff. My name is Heidi Kim, and I'm with the Office of Wage Standards, Bureau of Contract Administration. I'll refer you to that same handout for item number 17 for BCA. As my colleague mentioned earlier, during the reporting period, 1 task order was issued to the pre-qualified on-call list for community and business outreach, and was awarded to 4 contractors: Center for Living and Learning, Koreatown Immigrant Workers Alliance, Restaurant Opportunity Center of Los Angeles, and the Warehouse Workers Resource Center, for a total award amount of $87,074.36 from general fund monies, and $5,258.99 was invoiced during the reporting period ending June 30th. This task order provides targeted door-to-door outreach on city's minimum wage, paid sick leave, and fair chance initiative for hiring topics to employers with businesses in the city of Los Angeles. BCA did not issue nor award tasks over $150,000, nor are there any amendments executed or pending. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Campos, Mr. Ohanian covered his in his first report. I think we have cleared the desk, correct?
I believe there may be a representative from the Bureau of Street Lighting that I still have a report for.
Oh, we
Anybody
have one
here
from
Street Lighting?
I was not notified of that.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll file that as part of the oral report. Thank you. So that means we've cleared the desk?
That does, yes.
Okay, then we are adjourned, everyone. Thank you. Have a nice Wednesday.